Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Kim Rahir. Kim is a 60-year-old mother of three who was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago and decided to ignore her then doctor's advice and muscle her way back to a happy life. And that is appropriate for this episode today. This year, she became European champion in masters weightlifting in her age and weight category. Her journey inspired her to leave her career in journalism in her 50s and become a health coach for middle-aged women with a big focus on reactivating and rebuilding muscle. She helps women start strength training wherever they are at and get rid of diet culture conditioning to actually eat, to nourish, and to flourish. And today we talked about why muscle for women, how muscle and health are related, why it's particularly important for women, and how to overcome the stereotypes of muscle building as pumping iron and will it make women bulky. We talked about being strong is still feminine and not shrinking ourselves. It's been this diet culture of becoming shrunk, becoming smaller. I believe women were meant to shine. And what is wrong with being strong and capable and powerful? This podcast is about strong women uniting together. And if you're not strong, you can get strong and build resilience, because strength is what gets you through life and provides longevity. This was a great episode today. Let's dive in. I am so excited to welcome Kim Rahir to the Sisterhood of Sweat.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be able to be here.
Well, you are from someplace we were planning to visit, Germany, and we were going to go, but then there happened to be a pandemic.
Oh yeah, that's not the only travel plan on this earth that has been sort of postponed. Let's put it this way.
But if I get to go, which hopefully next year for my 30th anniversary, wedding anniversary, we'll probably try to go. What would you say is something I don't want to miss?
Well, you know, Germany is very sort of federal, so the regions are very important. So there's a huge variety of things that you can go see. You definitely want to go see Munich, which is the south, and where they have all the beer tradition, and they're very close to the Alps. So it's a beautiful place. But you also want to go up north and see, for example, my natal town is Bremen, which is like a harbor, a port town with long, long traditions, beautiful medieval inner city. Um, Anywhere you go, you will find those old towns that are very well preserved, and they are just, you know, they transport you back in time a little bit, and it's really lovely.
Oh, that is so cool. I am really into the medieval stuff. I don't know why, but I really like it. I like to watch the movies about it and all of that. So it would be really cool to feel like you step back in time and see all of these places. How long have you been in Madrid, Spain?
Um, it's been 9 years this year, and it's actually the longest we've been anywhere with my husband because when we got married, we started moving every 4 years. We've lived in Dubai, in Vienna, Paris, Berlin. So it was always 4 years, and then with 3 kids, pack it up and move to the next place. And now my husband's retired, and we loved Madrid, his last posting, so much that we just decided to stay. It's a great place to be.
That is so cool. And so you've been so many cool places that you probably have noticed some similarities in women And since today we're going to talk about weightlifting, building muscle, eating healthy, and all of the like, what would you say is something that you have found similar with women, no matter where you live?
Well, the first thing I always do when I move from one country to the next and I get to a new place is I sign up for a gym. That's just what I do because I like to lift, but also it's a great way to meet people and to meet people that are not, when you follow your husband because of his job, you will be sort of tacked onto him and his professional contacts and sphere, and only meet a certain kind of people. In a gym you meet all kinds of people, and wherever I went in the gyms I always felt that the women were there to somehow become prettier, but in a way like, smaller, do a lot of cardio, lose weight, worry about dress sizes. And pretty early on, I was, going to the weight room, to the free weights and stuff. And like 15 years ago, you would be a maverick as a woman there. And other women would sort of be a little bit intimidated. Who's that girl going there, going to lift with the guys? um, but guys were mostly okay. That's some try to give you advice and stuff, but I always felt that the women, they were in the gym, which was great, and they were doing something, um, but they were only going halfway and still in this desire to shrink. I don't know, I'm going to say it a
Oh
little
my
bit
gosh, you're
crudely,
using
but
the words in my mind.
yes. When it should be a place where you want to grow, and it doesn't mean that you have to become big. It means growing as a person also. When you challenge yourself with weights, you change, you become a different type of person. You are much happier and more apt to face challenges, and you know that every day is not a good day, and you learn how to live with that. But that was something, from in any country, women would be there and like enjoy the cardio classes, and some would do tons and tons and tons of cardio time and time again. And that's also something that sort of inspired me for my mission now.
That is so much what I was kind of thinking, is that women have been taught that they must shrink themselves to be enough, like to be the right, instead of embracing all that we are and enhancing all that we are and being okay to be strong, which is powerful. uh I think women have been taught in so many ways to shrink. And you use that word, I was thinking that word, and it's just so funny that that's the word you use, because I think women were meant to shine, not to shrink. And I love the whole premise of weightlifting as a vehicle to empowerment, because when you challenge yourself, it builds confidence. When you
Absolutely.
do something you never thought you could do, or you become stronger in your body, it also makes you stronger in all other ways. And so being a strong woman is a good thing. And so I think women, a lot of women shrink. They try to shrink themselves. They don't like the word powerful, because powerful is not feminine, they think, or strong is not feminine, they think, or they're worried they're going to look like a man if they lift weights. So dispel all these myths for me and tell me why that's not true.
Of course. I think the very first example that I want to give, and it's something that sometimes even makes me angry. Um, as a woman, you're supposed to have kids and look after them. So, you sometimes carry kilos and kilos, or pounds, as you would say, of kids and, I don't know, groceries and stuff around. Nobody has any beef with a woman carrying two toddlers in her arms and being strong like that. That's very, very feminine. But a woman sort of lifting weight is supposed to be unfeminine. So I think that's just what society has taught us. And it's also something in our values. When you're brought up as a girl, you're taught to be pretty, maybe elegant, small, of course, but nobody ever talks about being strong, like physically strong. And I mean, to bear children and to look after them, you have to be mighty strong. And you would never become bulky from carrying your children around, and you will not become bulky from lifting weights, which is the way we train today, as opposed to 70s pumping iron, is very functional. So we do all the movements that we do in everyday life. So we're not there doing 50,000 bicep curls, except if we want to be a bodybuilder, which is totally fine too. But usually we do functional things, and functional things just will make you strong and very functional, which is great because you can, breeze through your everyday life. And sometimes I can even get a little bit upset when women think, oh my God, I might become so bulky. Because look at men. I mean, they're struggling in the gym. Some of them struggle for years to put on a little bit of muscle. And women think that if they're going to look at a pink dumbbell from 5 feet distance, they're going to start looking like Arnold. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, there's no, I mean, I don't even want to call it a risk, because some women might want to look muscular. I think muscle is beautiful. And the cool thing that I see when we travel, I remember there's one church that we visited in Spain, in the beautiful town of Leon. We went into the church, and there was a relief that was sort of cut from stone, and there were women. And this was from like the 13th or the 14th century, and there were women in that piece of art. And they had guns. Oh my God, they were powerful. They really had big arm muscles, because, at the time, women were probably physically more active and needed to do stuff. So for me, being strong is absolutely feminine. There is no, we are natural bodybuilders because we build bodies inside of us. So, how can we not be strong? I think that's, the way you could ask the question.
I love that. That's really great. So why muscle for women? Why is that important?
I think it's the biggest piece of health and life insurance that you can have. Sometimes I also like to call it health real estate, like something solid that you invest in, and it stays and is not affected by all kinds of crises. It's important in so many ways. I don't even know where to start. I think the first one, and that's probably one that many women are concerned about, is bone health. You need to challenge your muscles, and you need to load your limbs in order to preserve your bone mass. That's crucial. And you really have to do it. There's so much research. Running, walking will not cut it. It's not enough. You really have to do some serious weight-bearing exercises. There's another one, your metabolism. More muscle mass enhances your metabolism. You're going to just be revving at a higher level. You're going to burn more energy without even moving more, because muscle just takes a lot of energy to be even maintained. And one that I like very much, and I think many women, especially in middle age, will be sort of receptive to that, is blood sugar management. Blood sugar is such a worry for so many people. They have, like they are pre-diabetic or they are become insulin resistant. And the more muscle you carry, the less you have to worry about that. Muscle is the greatest uptaker of blood sugar. in the body. I mean, you have the liver and the muscles. And if you carry a lot of muscle, you can absorb a lot of blood sugar that will not keep circulating in your system, but it will be stored in the muscle as energy for later. And then there's there's tons more. I'm going to just mention one more because I'm fascinated by that one. There's very compelling research that weightlifting, strength training is great for mental health. It decreases depression, it decreases anxiety, and it's been proven time and time and time again. I know this is a tricky one because people who are like clinically depressed or who struggle with mental health, the last thing they want to hear is someone telling them, well, do you just go out and lift some weights, because they struggle with that.
Because they don't
But
feel
the
like it.
evidence is there. Yeah, no, and it's for some
But it'll make you
it
feel
feels
like
like
it. So it's kind of like a
it.
catch-22.
Absolutely. But what fascinates me is, scientists are very curious, but they have not found the mechanism yet in the body that has this effect. Why does lifting weights, decrease anxiety or depression? They could not find like the neuromodulators or whatever it is that were at work there, but they find it time and time again in their studies that that's how it works. And that's good enough for me. If it works, you just want to do it. And I know from my own experience also, I work with clients, and most of them actually come and want to lose weight, but their biggest victories and celebrations are when they like do a push-up, or when they have this breakthrough and they discover a totally different kind of joy and confidence than looking at numbers on the scale.
Oh, it's such a better thing to concentrate on. And being able to do pull-ups. I love doing my pull-ups, my push-ups, and I'm 61. I was just flying across my studio because I'm getting ready to step on stage at Fitness America and receive my pro card. And I'm going to do my fitness routine. And it has some tumbling in it, which
Wow.
I am doing some strength moves and things where I'm lifting my body weight, which is a weight. And it's because of weight training, flexibility, stretching, because that also helps to make you strong. And, actually eating, which boosts your metabolism, using food as your friend instead of your enemy, learning that, oh, if I would just eat, and then before I weight train, after I weight train, periodic, like maybe periodically throughout the day, get my nutrition in, my metabolism is going to be revving. My metabolism is going to rev from eating. It's going to
Yes.
rev. And I think so many women have been taught to restrict and to shrink. I think there is a balance, of course. Like if I go eat, I don't know, a pumpkin parfait, a pumpkin pie parfait, which I am going to have on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I don't eat that every day.
Of course not.
Because it's loaded with sugar. But do I eat every day? Yes, and I eat a lot every day, more than the average American, because my food is calorie dense. It's not like it's 1,000 calories. Like if you go to eat a hot fudge cake out, it might be 1,000 calories and loaded with sugar. I'm having food that is working with my body instead of against my body, because I don't believe that eating a ton of sugar is it's in everything is necessarily the best thing for us. But I know like you have a whole take on this eating thing. Like you have a whole take, and I love it because it's more about eat, train, eat, it's more about feeding yourself, and you're going to kind of flip this healthy eating thing on its head. So I'm going to give you the floor.
I think that's a very important thing that you said about eating to be able to train and to get your metabolism revving. um, I want to talk about food and energy, because that's something that so many people get wrong, and not only women, but because women are always fixated on losing weight and becoming smaller. The problem when you start restricting yourself is that you don't have enough energy. And what do you want to do? To be fit and vibrant and vital, you want to move. And if you do not have enough energy to be moving, then you enter a vicious cycle, because you're lethargic, you are sort of without any energy, you're not dynamic, you don't want to get up from the sofa, you do everything more slowly. And here's the tricky thing, especially for women, because we were sort of built as reproductive energy reserves. I know that's a harsh term, but from a evolutionary point of view, and how we are actually bodybuilders and there to make small humans. We are, of course, we need a lot of energy stores. That's what our bodies think. So when we restrict our energy, our female brain will become very nervous and very stressed out, thinking, oh my God, something is wrong. There's very, very little food.
Mm-hmm.
And then our body will start saving energy. Now, it's not the famous starvation mode, because I don't think that this really is a thing. The energy in, energy out equation is still valid. But when you restrict yourself,
to a point,
your body says, oh, I have to save energy. And how is your body going to do that? It's going to move less. And it's going to move less in ways that you don't even notice. It's going to be very subtle, sort of very sneaky. You're just going to be a little bit more tired. You're just going to get up from the chair a little bit less. And overall, your brain will make sure that without you notice, you're going to expend less energy because there is so little food. And then you think, oh my God, I'm eating less and less and I'm not losing weight. And can I eat even less? But you're not realizing, because it's so subtle, that you're actually expending less, because your body is going into energy preservation by just making you move less. And it's very hard to notice. And if you want to burn off fat, you need something like a furnace. And how are you going to have a furnace if you don't put firewood or whatever it is, some kind of fuel into it? You need fuel to have energy to move and to get the whole thing moving. If you stop eating stuff and cutting out entire food groups, going hungry, you're just going to become weaker and slower, and you're not going to reach your goal of actually building a beautiful body that is strong and lean.
So well put. And the energy thing, I just won my championship in June at Fitness Universe, and I had a coach that was basically sort of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Eat, Santa, eat! And she was just on me about, well, she had to know every single activity I was doing. And then it was, I want you eating, because I'm at the gym at, let me think for a second. What time do I get there? I get up at 4:40. She wanted me eating at 5. Oh, wait, let me think. I get up at 4:40. She wanted me eating at 4:30 because I'm at the gym teaching class at 5:30. And then I'm doing routine practice. I might do some cardio. It was all about eating, first of all, first thing in the morning to get your adrenals going, then eating, making sure you're getting that protein, you're getting that carbohydrate. So you're not burning quality muscle, because muscle is what boosts your
Absolutely.
metabolism. It's what makes you strong. It's very important. So making sure you're eating before you train, and then of course again feeding after you train. And then it was just this whole gamut. And literally, you guys, I was eating more carbs than I could ever, and protein, but ever remember doing, because before, the way that I was training was all about being lean and a little bit of it being small, tight, lean,
Okay.
muscular. Uh,
Yes.
but it didn't provide me the energy that I had when I did my routine on stage. I'm I was 60, and I have got to say, I think it's the first time I ever did my fitness routine fully loaded with carbohydrates. And I had
Amazing.
energy,
Yes.
energy. And that's what you need when you're delivering a fitness routine, energy. And I can remember being so depleted at some of these shows that I could have forgot my name. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
because they were so low carbing me, or so cutting so many things. And so to me, the better way to train, and actually I lost weight it to boot. I was eating 6 muffins a day. I was eating four rice cakes with almond butter. Um, and then I won't go over all the other food. It was a lot of food, and I was losing weight. To me, that is such a better way to go, because I achieved all of my dreams and goals, but I was healthy, I had energy, and it didn't exhaust and deplete me. And I think we have been taught to deplete in so many ways. Now, you may be listening to me like, Linda, I just want to be skinny and thin and fit my clothes. I'm not going to compete. But it's still the same type of principle. You might not eat as much as I was eating because I was doing a lot of training. You may be training, uh, maybe you're doing an hour of weight training 3 times a week and cardio times for 20 minutes. You're going to eat differently, but it's still the same principle. Is you're fueling your body instead of starving your body.
And I think that's a very, very important distinction to make. And I think nowadays, food has become so much of a thing that is supposed to be fun, that is supposed to be a distraction or entertainment, or it's just habitual. It's just what we do. From some people, it's comfort. Um, and basically, food is fuel. That's what it is. We are now in a situation where we can produce so much food that we've made it into, something like it's close to a hobby. Eating is everywhere. Food is everywhere. And if you see food as something that's supposed to give you, like primarily supposed to give you pleasure or comfort, you're going to have a problem. If you view food primarily as your fuel, as something for sustenance and for being able to function, if you can get that sort of paradigm shift in your head, then everything will become so much easier, because you're going to choose your food in a totally different way. You're not going to look for the next thrill or the next kick from some kind of new taste. You're just going to ask yourself, what is this food actually going to do for me in my body? How will it serve me? How will it give me energy? How will it improve my health? And how will it fuel my physical activity? And that doesn't mean that food shouldn't be fun or shouldn't be, enjoyable or anything. It's just about what's your priority, what's your primary goal with food. And when it becomes something like, pleasure or comfort, I think you're setting yourself up for problems, because the criteria by which you choose your foods will be skewed and will not be optimal for you to stay healthy and strong.
What do you think trying to eat healthy means?
Oh, that's my favorite. If I had a penny in my bank account for every time a woman told me I'm trying to eat healthy, I might not be a millionaire, but I'd be pretty well off. I think when women say I'm trying to eat healthy, they're expressing some kind of desire to change their habits. But it's basically just a very vague concept that will not help them make choices. What does it even mean? First of all, if you say my goal is I want to try to eat healthy. So I don't know, you eat chocolate and chips all day because you somehow didn't sort of succeed, but you tried. You tried, but it didn't work. So you achieved your goal of trying, but you haven't really achieved anything in reality. Because trying, you can try as much as you like. If it doesn't work, if you don't turn it into an action, trying to eat healthy will not get you anywhere. Second point of that phrase, what is eating healthy? It depends on the person. For you, with your training, for your routine and everything, your regimen where you need so much food, it would be extremely unhealthy for you to eat low carb or, have in a calorie deficit. Someone else who's maybe struggling with being pre-diabetic, for them, healthy eating is something totally different. So this vague term of trying to eat healthy is just this, it's a desire somehow to want to change the way you eat. But if you're not specific about it, it will not help you. It's not a goal that will be helpful for you. You need to be specific and intentional. What do you want to achieve? What's health for you? For some people, health might be, imagine you're a celiac, you cannot have anything with gluten, and your notion of health will be different. You want to eat foods that you can tolerate and that will not make you sick. And for someone who's overweight, eating healthy will probably be, cutting down a little bit on the energy intake, cutting down on the sugars and stuff. And if you want to achieve a health goal or a fitness goal, you don't want to say, I'm trying to eat healthy. You want to say, I'm going to eat for muscle building. I'm going to eat for fat loss. I'm going to eat for insulin sensitivity. You have to define it. You have to be specific. And once you've been specific, you can become intentional and ask yourself, what am I actually going to eat to make that happen, to achieve that goal? If you stay on the surface level, there's so much surface level solutions out there, and trying to eat healthy is one of them. It's too vague, and it's not helpful.
So good. Well, like Yoda says, there's no try, only do.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, what would you say the pitfalls of healthy eating are?
Oh, there's a number of them. It depends on what healthy eating means for you. Many women think that going more plant-based, for example, is going to be good for their health. And then, more always seems better. So instead of going vegetarian, you go vegan. And then you start opting for all those substitutes that you can eat as a vegan. I don't know, vegan bacon. Is that even a thing? But, all kinds of vegan meat, vegan sausages. And those are highly processed foods. Most of the vegan foods are highly processed. So there's a danger there, because some scientists nowadays think that the big problem with the obesity crisis that we have might not even be in certain food groups or macros, but could be the consumption of highly processed foods, which for many vegan foods is absolutely the case, because they're manipulating and processing it, as long as it takes to turn a bean or a lentil into a steak. That requires a lot of processing. That's one of the pitfalls. Another pitfall is the one with the healthy fats. And that happens so easily and so quickly, because you know that nuts are great for your health. Walnuts, anti-inflammatory. Avocados, like a fountain of health and longevity. And they're just very, very easy to overeat. So when when you
Yeah,
come to me and say,
because you eat your whole day's calories sometimes when
yes,
you're eating nuts. Maybe you're watching a show or you're on your computer and you just keep on shoveling. So I think it's good to ration that and put it in a baggie. Like, this is how
yes,
much I'm gonna have.
absolutely. Because it's also when you don't have your eating habits like fully controlled, you tend to snack, to graze, to munch.
More
You'll then
often.
turn to nuts. And when you turn to nuts and you do that like 3 times a day, you'll overshoot your body's calorie needs so easily, and you won't even notice. And then you say,
And you wonder why
I don't
you're
understand.
not. Yeah.
I'm eating healthy. Why am I not losing weight? Yeah, because you're eating too much of the healthy fats. So that's a tricky one, and it's very often an eye opener for many women who think, my God, I'm eating so well. What's going on? Why am I not losing weight? And as soon as you find that, you change it. But that's also one example of saying I want to eat healthy is just too vague. You need specificity. You want to
Well,
know
you
how
can
much
eat too
energy do
much
I
of a
need.
healthy thing,
Absolutely.
right? And that's why it's still like, I eat what I know I'm going to digest, because also your digestion is very important. So for
Yes.
me, now that I'm 61 and I've been through menopause and I'm on the other side, for me, eating 4 ounces of protein at a meal and a cup of vegetables, and it before it would have been 6 ounces of protein, 2 cups of vegetables. It was more at a meal. Now I eat less at a meal. I eat more often. It just, you have to work with your body and find out what works for you, because it isn't the same for everyone. But like, my body digests that. It doesn't store it. So when I'm eating more than my body digests, I'm more apt to store it. So when
Absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
eating more than my body burns off, I'm more apt to store it. And so it's finding that balance of what is going to work for you. But again, eating healthy, I mean, there's so many healthy items and you can eat way too much. So you got to think about, what should my portion sizes be? And you can play around with the portion sizes and play around with the content of how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat, and find that balance for yourself. And I think it is still, it's not about deprivation. It's about just, and not depriving yourself, because your body holds on to whatever it's not getting. But it's about just having that balanced diet. It isn't some quick fix or some drug that's going to get in. A drug might get you there, but it won't keep you there. And then you have a whole other host of what could possibly go wrong. What side effects are there that you didn't know about? Just, I think the way to go is betting on yourself and figuring out, okay, how many carbohydrates do I need? How much protein? How much good fat? And what are the items I like to eat? What would I be happy eating on the regular? How can I mix this up so I'm not bored with my food choices? And I just think that, talking today about being strong, eating, training, pumping iron, not being bulky is a very, it's not going to make you bulky unless you're already prone to that. And that's a very small percentage, very small, like under 4% of women. I think then it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I just want to dive into your story where you had MS and the doctor didn't want you to weight train, but you went against the advice. I want you to just lead us through that, and how did that build resilience for you?
Yeah, of course. So it started like 15 years ago. I had a first autoimmune sort of episode, which actually put me in a wheelchair, but it was a one-off. And I had some treatment for 2 years. Then the doctor told me, "Oh, you're good to go. You don't need any treatment anymore." So I sort of thought, "Yeah, I have received a new life." And then 6 months later, I felt some tingling in my hands. Um, and it takes some time to go through the motions to find the reason. And it was a full-blown like MS sort of relapse. There's only the word relapse, even though it was the first episode of this particular thing. um, and when you have one, you have to wait for the second, because before you're fully diagnosed. And I was just hoping nothing else was going to happen. And it was okay for a full year. And then at some point, I felt a slight tingling, and I was a little bit, um, well, very much on the outlook for symptoms. So there was another tingling, went again. It was a relapse after a year. So I was officially declared as having MS. And that's very, very scary. I can only say that I was scared, because you don't know what's going to happen to your body. You have no idea. Every single person who has this has a different story. And you start treatment for that. And that's what scared me most. You can never stop the treatment, because if if you're fine with the treatment, you don't know is it because your body is fine, or is it because you're having the treatment, and you're never going to find out. I was very lucky. Now, there were two things. The first one, yeah, I said, can I train? And the doctor said, uh, please be careful. And then I hate that when doctors say, oh, how about some swimming? I don't like swimming. I really don't like to swim. And they also, by the way, this is a little sidetrack, but they recommend this to people who have back pain. So their back is not strong enough to hold up against gravity. And then they say, go swimming. So they put them out of gravity. How is this going to help them when they can't deal with gravity? Um, and then, the doctor says, be careful. Then you get an invitation from the nurse, welcome to the community. And it's great. It's support, it's solidarity, it's a community. But I had this reaction. I thought, I don't want to get into the mindset of a sick person. If I embrace all this as my new identity, I felt I was going to get lost. And I did have some lesions. I still have a little bit of insensitivity, numbness in my left hand, but I generally was quite okay. And then I thought, why am I not going to do this when I'm feeling okay? I could just not connect what the doctor told me to what I was feeling in my body. I felt ready to go, and I just did it. And one thing the nurse said, and I think this is really important, she said, yes, exercise is very helpful for MS patients because the body adapts to fatigue. MS patients get a lot of fatigue, and when you fatigue it with training, it learns how to recover, and you train the body to recover. And that was something also that encouraged me. And I just started lifting, and I got stronger and stronger, and I felt really good. And I had no symptoms for years. And when I came to Spain, I met a doctor who said, well, you have no symptoms. Would you like to try and get off your medication? And I had tears in my eyes, and I said, yes, please. I'd love to try. And many doctors will not dare do that because you get off the medication, you might have another relapse with some damage. But this guy, he saw me and he said, you look good. You want to try it without medication? You go ahead. And that was 7 years ago now. So,
And you won a
I feel like,
championship in a master weightlifting, a European championship. Is this after
yes,
that?
absolutely. Because the first years, I was just lifting weights in the gym like everybody else. And then by pure accidents and meeting people and being curious, I got into an Olympic weightlifting gym. And the minute I saw them, lift the weights, and they drop the weights, and there's always this very typical sound in weightlifting gyms when they drop the weights. It fascinated me, and I wanted to do that. So I started trying the techniques and everything. Started to train for fun, and then one of the trainers said, "Hey, do you want to compete?" And I said, and I was 55 at the time. I said, "What? At my age? You're serious?" And then he said, "Hey." He called a colleague, said, "Come here. How old are you?" I'm 56. "And are you competing?" "Yes, I am." I said, "Okay, she can do it. I can do it too." And then I accepted to compete, and very soon went to the first European championship. And this year, I actually won. It was one of the greatest moments of my life because it's, with my story, I'm so grateful just for being able to be there, just for being able to do this. And then when you win a medal, it's just, pure joy.
And so amazing. And it just shows you guys that age is really just a number, and that when you build some resilience and you learn to make your own decisions, uh,
Yes.
a lot of good can come out of that. Because I also had that talk with the therapist where she's like, after 1, 2, 3 injuries, back to back to back, she's like, maybe you need to hang it up. And so I took my break and I rested and I rebuilt the body and I learned how to train according to the changes my body made in menopause. And I started dreaming that I could do my routine. So I dreamed it often enough, I believed it, and then I achieved it. And so I think just realizing that our bodies are made to heal and that we can be resilient in the face of adversity. And I don't have a whole lot of time left, but I'd love to keep chatting because this is so good today. But can you tell everyone, as our final note, how can they build more resilience?
Well, I think resilience is, it's not a character trait. It's not a personal virtue. It's actually just your personal safety net. I've talked to so many women who said, I was doing fine 5 years ago. I had a personal trainer. I was training. I was fit and I was slim. And then they moved town and I stopped. This is when you rely on one thing for your health and fitness. You don't have a safety net when that one thing goes away. And life will always take stuff away from you. You can't count on things always being there. You need several points of support where that you're going to fall maybe, but you're going to be caught by your net of safety. So for me, resilience is building a structure of having good food habits, good recovery habits, having good relationships, having fun in your life, having laughter, having training, having all this, and view that as knitting a net. And when one point of this net fails, which it inevitably will, there's always some adversity in life. That you have all the other points that you can fall back on. If you get good eating habits and good relationships and you get injured, you have enough support not to fall off the wagon. You want to stay sort of on your track. And that's what I consider resilience. So it's not something that you're born with and you think, oh, this person is so resilient. It's something that you can build for yourself patiently, step by step, point by point, safety point by safety point until you have your net that makes sure that you know, even if something in life knocks you down, you can stand back up again because you have all these points of support.
So great. It's been so great talking about something near and dear to my heart. Because SWEAT stands for Strong Women Empowering Achieving Together. So the Sisterhood of Sweat is about being strong, and you got to have muscle to be strong. And you know what? Muscle, there's all kinds of different muscle. There's working your muscle of courage. There's working the muscle of faith. There's so much that you could think about as muscle besides just your physical body. So keep tuning in as we all grow together in this sisterhood and we become stronger, more confident, and more courageous. I have so enjoyed having Kim on today. Kim, where can everybody find you on social media?
Well, the first and easiest thing is to go to my website which is kimrahir.com. And you can also send me just an email, kim@kimrahir.com, and we'll have a conversation about muscle, being strong, and being healthy and happy.
So great. I really enjoyed all of your your knowledge. You're very knowledgeable. I was very pleasantly surprised that we were on the same page about all of the things about just building muscle, the health, the eating, the empowerment piece. So it was quite a delight to chat with you today. And everyone out there, make sure to get a hold of what Kim's laying down, listen to this, share it with other women, and go to her website and see what else she has to offer. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks everyone for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. Bye, everybody.